It was the rant scene around the world. For years, viewers of Sister Wives have watched the Brown family patriarch, Kody Brown, spiral. We've seen the gaslighting, the manipulation, and the blatant favoritism. But this season, something changed. Kody Brown's own words, broadcast on national television to millions, may have been his final, catastrophic mistake. Tonight, we're breaking down the shocking statements that have allegedly triggered a cascade of legal actions, sending the family's network, TLC, into a full-blown panic. Did Kody's ego just cost him everything? Settle in, because this is the breakdown you've been waiting for. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. We have a massive story to unpack today, and it's one that has been building for years, but has finally exploded. The title of this video is not an exaggeration. We're talking about Kody Brown, the self-proclaimed patriarch of the Sister Wives family, and how his increasingly unhinged, shocking, and narcissistic statements on his own television show have reportedly pushed his former wives to the brink and into their lawyers' offices. And the word on the street? TLC is terrified. They've protected their golden goose for over a decade, but now the golden goose is liability number one. We're going to structure this in 3 parts. First, we need to dissect the words that broke the dam, the specific, jaw-dropping confessions and accusations Kody has made on camera that revealed his true character. Second, we will dive deep into the legal reckoning, the actual lawsuits and legal threats from Christine, Janelle, and Meri that followed these revelations. And finally, we'll analyze the TLC panic, why the network is allegedly scrambling to control a narrative that Kody himself has set on fire. Let's get into it. To understand the legal firestorm, you have to understand the sheer volume of verbal gasoline Kody Brown has been pouring. For the longest time, the show's edit, and perhaps the family's own desire to project a functional image, sanded down Kody's roughest edges. But with the departure of Christine, then Janelle, and finally Meri, the filter is gone. Kody has been on a scorched earth campaign, not just against his ex-wives, but against his own children and even reality itself. And the cameras captured every last word. Let's start with his appearance on Special Forces. This was Kody, away from Robyn and the carefully controlled environment of his own show, and it was deeply revealing. Kody openly admitted, with tears in his eyes, to his failures as a father. He confessed that his relationships with most of his children are non-existent, that communication has ceased. But in the very same breath, he framed himself as the victim. He claimed his kids rejected him, offended him, and that he only gave as much as he got. This wasn't a true apology. It was a PR move. It was Kody trying to rebrand his image. But all he did was confirm, on a different network, that the stories his kids and ex-wives have been telling are true. He is an absent father. He does demand loyalty over love. This admission on national TV was, for many, the first crack in the facade. But the real damage, the words that have direct financial and legal consequences, came from the Sister Wives tell-alls and the regular season episodes. Let's talk about the Coyote Pass property, the family's financial black hole. This land was supposed to be their dream. Instead, it became their nightmare and the battlefield for their final war. As Meri and Janelle were trying to negotiate their financial exits, Kody went on national television and essentially tried to rewrite history. He made the shocking claim that he had paid for an entire lot all by myself, at least 92% of it. This was a direct shot at his wives, an attempt to devalue their decades of financial contribution, their paychecks from the show, their money, all of which was pooled, as they had always claimed, into the family pot. He wasn't just saying this in a private mediation. He was saying it to millions, creating a public narrative that he was the sole provider and they were moochers. It gets worse. Viewers were horrified when Kody seemed to suggest that Meri's claim to the property was less valid because she only had one child with him. Think about the cold, calculating cruelty of that statement. He was tying a woman's financial worth to her fertility, diminishing her decades-long role in the family to a simple, cruel math equation. These weren't just shocking words. They were a public declaration of his financial intentions. He was, in essence, telling Meri and Janelle on camera that he didn't believe they were entitled to an equal share of the land they had all bought together. He was daring them to challenge him. And as we'll see, they did. And let's not forget the sheer cringe, as the internet called it. His bizarre, smug comments on the season 19 tell all about his intimate life with Robyn, coining the nauseating phrase Mormon naughty, were broadcast while his other wives were literally grieving the end of their 30-year marriages. He showed no empathy, no remorse. He was, in effect, dancing on the graves of the relationships that had made him famous. This level of narcissism and attachment wasn't just a bad look, it was character evidence. It showed the world, and more importantly, it showed his ex-wives' legal teams, exactly who Kody Brown is, a man who feels no accountability and believes he is entitled to everything. His unhinged conversations, particularly the one where he tried to blame Meri for everything and rewrite the timeline of their split, were not the rants of a grieving husband. They were the rants of a guilty man trying to control a narrative that had already escaped him. Kody Brown's mouth wrote checks that his wives are now cashing. This is the part of the story where the alleged in our title becomes very, very real. The shocking words Kody spoke on TV weren't just rants. They were, in many ways, the catalyst for a legal uprising. His attempts to publicly diminish, devalue, and financially strong-arm his ex-wives backfired spectacularly. Let's start with the Coyote Pass War. For years, Janelle and Meri were in a state of financial limbo. They were spiritually divorced from Kody, but legally tethered to him and Robyn through this multimillion-dollar property. They had poured their life savings and their TLC earnings into this land. And then, they had to sit and watch Kody claim on television that he paid for it all, and that their shares were somehow less than. What do you do when your ex-partner goes on TV and publicly attempts to rewrite your financial agreements? You don't argue with him in the press. You lawyer up, and that is exactly what they did. Reports from 2024 and 2025 confirmed that both Meri Brown and Janelle Brown had retained legal counsel. This was not a friendly family discussion anymore. This was a formal legal dispute. They were forced to hire lawyers to fight for their fair share of the property, to force a sale, and to ensure Kody couldn't rip them off, as sources close to the women feared. Kody's on-camera words were a massive tactical error. He essentially gave their lawyers all the ammunition they needed. He showed his hand. He proved his intent to deny them their equity. The legal threats became so serious that the only way out was to sell. And in April 2025, the land was finally sold for a reported $1.5 million. This wasn't Kody's decision. This was a forced liquidation, triggered by the legal actions of the wives he so publicly disrespected. He didn't just lose the land, he lost the fight. But the biggest, most direct legal action, the one that Kody seemingly never saw coming, was from Christine. While Kody was on special forces crying about his failed relationships and on sister wives ranting about loyalty, Christine Brown was quietly making moves. In September 2024, Christine filed a lawsuit against Kody Brown. This wasn't about land. This was about their child. She sued Kody for child support and sole custody of their minor daughter, Truly. Let this sink in. For years, Kody had allegedly been posturing, as sources claim, that he financially supported all his children. But Christine's lawsuit painted a very different picture. It suggested that Kody was not, in fact, providing for his youngest daughter in a way that was legally sufficient, forcing Christine to take the man she was with for 25 years to court. This wasn't just a legal filing. It was a public humiliation. It was a direct, legal refutation of the family man image Kody had curated for decades. And the shocking words that connect? Commentary from sources like Without a Crystal Ball pointed to a potential plot to defraud Christine of child support. While that's a serious allegation, the lawsuit itself is a hard fact. And the ultimate outcome? By June 2025, reports surfaced that Christine had won her case. Kody was reportedly ordered to pay. His words on TV portrayed him as a victim, The legal system, it seems, saw him as a deadbeat. This is the true reckoning. Kody's words, so full of bravado and self-pity, were met with the cold, hard reality of the law. His attempts to control his ex-wives financially and emotionally failed. They called his bluff. Christine took him to court for their child, and Meri and Janelle lawyered up to get their money. Kody's words didn't just trigger legal action, they necessitated IT. Where does this leave the network? For 19 seasons, TLC has ridden the Sister Wives train, and Kody Brown was its conductor. The entire premise of the show was built around him. His beliefs, his family, his decisions. But what happens when your star becomes your biggest liability? This, folks, is the TLC panic. Now, panic might be a strong word, but brand crisis is not. The search results and viewer commentary don't show a network in panic as in we're canceling the show. They show a network in panic as in how do we control this? And who is our audience now? The backlash against Kody is deafening. Viewers are no longer just hate watching him. They are actively rooting for his downfall and, more importantly, for the success of his ex-wives. The comment sections, the Reddit threads, the YouTube breakdowns, the overwhelming consensus is that Kody is the villain, and viewers are tuning in to see Christine, Janelle, and Meri thrive without him. TLC is not stupid. They see the ratings. They understand the new dynamic. The show isn't called Kody Brown. It's called Sister Wives. And the Sister Wives are now, for the first time, the undisputed protagonists of their own stories. This has reportedly forced a massive shift in strategy at the network. For years, as some commentators allege, TLC has been running cover for Kody, editing him in a more favorable light, hiding his worst moments to protect the family-friendly-ish brand. But now, the gloves are off. Recent reports, like one from Without a Crystal Ball, claim that TLC is finally exposing Kody's worst moments after years of cover-ups. The network's panic isn't about losing Kody, it's about managing him. They've realized that the real money, the real story, is in Kody's downfall. So they're not protecting him anymore. They're exposing him. They're letting his unhinged rants air. They're showing his callousness. They're including the painful, awkward, and legally incriminating footage because that is what the audience wants. The network's strategy has shifted from protecting the patriarch to documenting his demise. Furthermore, TLC is now facing a new kind of backlash, accusations of exploitation. Kody's own daughter, Gwendolyn, has publicly called out both her father and TLC for exploiting the kids for cash and drama. This is a PR nightmare for the network. It's one thing to have drama between consenting adult wives. It's another to be publicly accused by one of the show's children of not paying them and mining their trauma for ratings. This, combined with Kody's on-screen admissions of pocketing TLC money while allegedly refusing to feed his kids, a shocking accusation from Michael T., puts TLC in an impossible position. They are now, by association, complicit in Kody's alleged financial and emotional neglect. The panic at TLC is not about the show ending. The panic is about the show changing. It's about a total loss of control. Kody Brown, with his own shocking words, has ended the fantasy of plural marriage that TLC was selling. He's exposed the toxic reality, and he's dragged the network into his legal and moral mess. TLC is no longer in business with a quirky polygamist family. They are in business with a deeply dysfunctional man, his sole remaining wife, and the 3 triumphant ex-wives who are building new lives, all while being sued by their own children for back pay. This is a 5-alarm fire, and all TLC can do is keep the cameras rolling and hope the whole thing doesn't burn to the ground. So what have we learned? We've learned that words have consequences. Kody Brown's shocking words on national television, his boasts, his lies, his manipulations, his cruelty, were not just moments of bad television. They were the triggers. They were the evidence. They were the final push that his ex-wives needed to move from spiritual divorce to legal and financial freedom. Kody's attempt to paint himself as a victim, a failed patriarch who was rejected by his family, has been completely undermined by his own actions. His words triggered Janelle and Meri to hire lawyers and force the sale of Coyote Pass, securing their financial independence. His words and actions, or lack thereof, triggered Christine to drag him into court to provide for his own daughter, a battle she reportedly won. And all of it, broadcast for millions, has triggered a full-blown identity crisis at TLC, forcing them to abandon their longtime star and pivot to a new narrative, the downfall of a king and the rise of his queens. Kody Brown, in his arrogance, thought he could control the narrative. He thought his words, broadcast on his show, were the final say. But he was wrong. His words were just the beginning. They were the opening arguments in a case he had already lost. The legal actions from Christine, Janelle, and Meri were the closing statements. And the verdict is in. The era of Kody Brown is over. The future of Sister Wives belongs to the women who survived him. But what do you think? Do you believe Kody's words on TV were a deliberate attempt to rewrite history? Were you shocked that Christine had to take him to court? And what do you think TLC should do next? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. This story is far from over, and we will be here to track every single development. Kody Brown breaks down on special forces over his failures as a father, admits to having an adolescent mindset. Kody Brown got called out on Thursday's episode of Special Forces, World's Toughest Test, regarding his estrangement from most of his 18 children, and surprisingly, the Sister Wives star actually admitted to being the cause of his kids going no contact. Kody, who has notoriously shifted the blame in the past for the poor relationships he has with his kids, finally took ownership of his downfalls, admitting after being called out by the military leaders on the show that his mindset has been childish and that the fault truly lies with him for those failed relationships. When asked by former U.S. Marine Rudy Reyes if he feels he's taken responsibility for the fallout with his kids, Kody at first seemed reluctant to admit fault. "I don't want to admit I'm wrong sometimes," he said. "I don't like being wrong." Kody went on to say that at one point in his life, he was concerned about everybody. As Sister Wives fans know, everybody once included his 3 ex-wives, Christine, Meri, and Janelle, as well as his current wife Robyn and his 18 kids. Although Kody claimed he was concerned about everybody, he was called out by former SAS operator Billy Billingham. "You're concerned about everybody as long as they sang to your tune," he told Kody. "As long as they agree with everything you believe in. I don't think you're being honest with me." It was only then that Kody truly began to take ownership of his failures as a husband and father. "I'm the discrepancy," he admitted. "I should have had a stronger relationship with my children. I'm at a place in my life now where I'm very willing to say that I've been wrong." Kody then broke down, sobbing to the officers that he acted the way he did because he thought he was doing things right, and had become unwilling to admit that wasn't the case. "My failures were because I didn't know about being a good dad and husband, and I thought I did," Kody said. "I really thought I did, and I misunderstood that. I did it wrong in so many ways, and I hated being blamed for it. And so it made me resistant to ownership." Rudy then told Kody that he has a very adolescent mindset, which Kody surprisingly admitted to. "When you really king own that, you'll do something about it." Rudy tells him, "Dig deep and keep going." As Sister Wives fans know, Kody still has a good relationship with the 5 children he shares with Robyn, but essentially has little to no relationship with nearly all of the other 13 kids he shares with his OG wives. His ex-wives and many of Kody's grown children have been outspoken about Kody's faults and failures as a dad and husband. Last month, Kody Brown, the daughter of Kody and Christine, claimed that Kody had great love for his kids when they were young, but that love changed once they became adults. "I think it was just like, he just loved us as kids. But then when we got older, it started to be like, my love is conditional," Kody said. "The older we got, it was conditional up to how much we respect him and were willing to fork over what we want for him." Last year, Kody stated that the Kody Brown of today was not the dad she knew growing up. "I don't recognize that Kody Brown," she said. "That is not the Kody Brown I was raised with. That Kody Brown is Kody Brown from Sister Wives. That is not Kody Brown, my dad." It's hard to see him have those conversations and those fights and those arguments because I don't understand. She also stated that when she was growing up, Kody was fine, as long as his kids were doing things he enjoyed, much as Billy observed during Thursday's Special Forces episode. "We did things kind of how he wanted to, that's how we did things," Michael D said at the time, stating that she and her siblings would often watch Kody's favorite movies with him as a group as a way of getting more time with their dad. Michael D said that Kody was happy because he and his kids were spending time together, doing what Kody liked. But as they grew, Kody didn't want to change to doing what each of his kids liked to do.